So childbirth is one of the few positive feedback mechanisms in the body. Another one being blood clotting, because when you're bleeding excessively, you want the blood to clot, and you want it to keep clotting. Not like the kind of blood clot that would go to your brain, cause a stroke, or the clot that would go to your lungs and cause pulmonary embolism, but like when you're bleeding abnormally, you want the blood to clot. Positive feedback. So, childbirth. So the baby is going to develop, the fetus is going to develop inside the uterus, which is a very muscular organ. And at the inferior aspect of that organ, meaning at the bottom portion of that organ, there's an opening, which is called the cervix. And the cervix normally is closed up until we're ready to deliver the child. And when the fetus is pushing down on the cervix, it's causing it to stretch. And there are stretch receptors that sense that. So the stretching is the stimulus. The stretch receptors sense that. They send impulses up to the brain through afferent sensory pathways. The brain integrates it and says, ooh, we're ready to give birth. So the brain then tells the pituitary gland to secrete a hormone called oxytocin, which is then the effector. So the effector that goes to the uterus and stimulates the uterus to contract. And the uterus is a muscular organ. So then the uterus contracts and pushes the baby further inferiorly, further downward. The baby's head pushes against the cervix, stretches the cervix even more. That's the stimulus. Again, stretch receptors, afferent sensory pathways, brain integrates it, pituitary gland produces oxytocin, oxytocin's the effector, and on and on and on. So this is what it looks like. So here's the baby in my uterus, and now the baby is pushing down on my cervix and stretching. Stretch receptors, afferent sensory pathways, brain integrates, oxytocin, back to the uterus, contraction, squeezes the baby even further downward, stretches the cervix even more. Stretch receptors, afferent sensory pathways, integration, oxytocin, more contractions, until finally the baby's born. And that's the end of the positive feedback pathway.